The alluring escape. Lena Carter stared at her reflection in the vanity mirror, her fingers absently adjusting the delicate strap of her evening dress. The woman looking back at her seemed foreign, a stranger adorned in silk and diamonds, draped in an illusion of glamour. It had been years since she felt truly seen. Mark, her husband, barely glanced at her these days. Their conversations revolved around grocery lists, mortgage payments, and whether he'd be home in time for dinner. Passion had been swallowed whole by routine. Tonight, however, something was different. A pulse of anticipation thrummed beneath her skin. The charity gala was an annual event, one she attended more out of obligation than desire. But this time, an unfamiliar sense of curiosity lingered at the edges of her thoughts. Something, or someone, was about to change the script. The ballroom glowed under chandeliers, laughter and murmurs swirling through the air like a well-rehearsed symphony. She moved through the crowd, her practiced smile in place, nodding politely at acquaintances who barely registered in her mind. And then, she saw him. Ethan Sinclair. His name had been whispered through the circles of the elite, a prodigy, a self-made millionaire at 18, his success both admired and resented. Lena had assumed he'd be another brash, entitled heir. But as she observed him from across the room, he exuded a quiet confidence that defied his youth. Their eyes met. A slow, deliberate moment stretched between them before he tilted his head, a smirk tugging at the corners of his lips. The audacity of it sent a thrill down her spine. She shouldn't entertain this. She shouldn't want to. But when he approached, she didn't step away. "Lena Carter," he murmured, as if testing the weight of her name on his tongue. "I've heard a lot about you." Her heart skipped, but she kept her voice steady. "All good things, I hope." He chuckled, the sound smooth and knowing. "That depends. Would you rather be known for being good or unforgettable?" She should have laughed off the remark, dismissed it with the kind of polite detachment she had mastered over the years. Instead, she found herself leaning in. "And what are you known for, Mr. Sinclair?" His gaze held hers, unwavering. "For getting what I want." The air between them thickened. Lena felt it, the reckless allure of possibility, the dangerous excitement of stepping toward the unknown. She told herself it was harmless. A fleeting moment. But deep down, she knew better. Mark had once looked at her like that. Once. Before his love softened into habit, before his attention became something she had to beg for. A waiter passed by with a tray of champagne, and Ethan plucked 2 glasses, offering her one. "Walk with me." She hesitated. A small voice in her mind screamed that this was a bad idea. But another voice, one much louder, urged her forward. She took the glass. She took the step. Outside, the garden was bathed in moonlight, the distant hum of the party fading into the night. They strolled in silence at first, the cool air a welcome contrast to the heat curling in her stomach. "Tell me something," Ethan said, swirling the champagne in his glass. "When was the last time you did something just because it made you feel alive?" The question struck deeper than she expected. She opened her mouth, but no answer came. "Exactly what I thought," he mused. "A shame, really. A woman like you deserves more." She should have walked away then. She should have told him that he didn't know her, that he had no right to make assumptions about her life. But she didn't. Instead, she let his words settle into the cracks she had been ignoring for years. When he turned to face her, his expression unreadable, she felt a sudden shift. The air around them seemed charged, thick with something unspoken. "I want to show you something," he said. "What is it?" "You'll have to trust me." A reckless proposition. A step too far. And yet, she hesitated for only a moment before she heard herself whisper, "Where?" His lips curved into a knowing smile. "My place." Every logical part of her screamed to decline, to turn around and return to the safety of familiarity. But safety had become suffocating. So when Ethan extended his hand, Lena Carter did the one thing she told herself she never would. She took it. Crossing the line. The mansion loomed before Lena, its towering glass windows reflecting the city lights like scattered diamonds. The night air was thick with unspoken tension as Ethan led her inside, his touch light against the small of her back. The interior was sleek, modern, every detail exuding wealth and control. She should have felt out of place. Instead, she felt dangerously alive. Ethan poured them drinks, the ice clinking as he handed her a crystal glass. "To new experiences," he murmured, his gaze locking onto hers. She took a sip, the burn of the liquor grounding her. "This is reckless. So stop me," he challenged, stepping closer. But she didn't. And when he reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from her cheek, Lena knew she had already crossed the line. The aftermath. Morning light spilled through the blinds as Lena sat on the edge of her bed, the weight of the night pressing down on her. Her phone buzzed, messages from Mark, asking when she'd be home. She exhaled sharply, guilt clawing at her chest. The thrill of Ethan's touch had faded, replaced by the bitter sting of consequence. Samantha's voice echoed in her mind. "What are you really looking for, Lena?" She had no answer. Only the realization that one moment had changed everything. "I've added the final section, the aftermath, bringing Lena's story to a poignant and reflective conclusion. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments or additional refinements."